Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. I'm Preacher Mars, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Welcome to another Wednesday, Hump Day Wednesday. Hope you're getting through the week as best as you can. I know that I am. You know, sometimes, brothers and sisters, you have these spaces every once in a while, and somebody introduces not so much a new thought, but a sparking thought. Not so much a new idea, but something that sparks other ideas that you may have been thinking about, you may have forgotten. Sometimes when you have great ideas, you're looking for the thing that connects it and makes it a great idea for everybody, or it makes it relatable for everybody. So I'm working out this morning. I'm working on my knee this morning, and I heard something, a new podcast called "Be Anti-Racist." Now I'm trying to remember the doctor's name. I might get it later. I'll get forgetful. You know how it is. It's late in the day. And they had this thing called "Be Anti-Racist," and it's the idea that you're going to start expanding on some of these ideas of critical race theory. And critical race theory is under attack right now for a lot of people because it goes against this whole idea of white supremacy. And white supremacy, in and of itself, is this whole idea of zero sum. It's a very zero sum theorem that's been propagated throughout the world. Black people, Native Americans, we got the end of it. But the other thing, you got the end of it in a closed space whereby narrative can be formed, but also narrative can be denied. That said, I'm listening to what they're talking about, this whole idea of identity, this whole idea of fear. And I began to understand or revisit some of the ideas I used to have several years ago, reflected in stand up, but also reflected in some of my scholar work. And what becomes a larger issue, brothers and sisters, is that we have become a crime economy. Let me say it again. We become a crime economy, not so much in terms of people stealing, but you now have a narrative that allows folks to drive a particular story that's not true, to augment a particular feeling that's not there, to create fear, to present laws that are not needed. When I talked about critical race theory some time ago, this was where I was going with it. My idea or my concern about critical race theory not being taught is that we are now trying to make something that is important and relevant appear antithetical without a solution, without an explanation. One of the things about white supremacy, I've always said this, is that for people who practice it, it requires no explanation. It requires no investigation. It may require an adherence to falsehood, false narratives, truth, fear mongering, and oppression, if you will, but it requires no explanation. Why is that? Literally, the question is, why is that? And we're going to get into that on the show, but I want to bring this up because I was actually right now I'd say we're in a fear economy. The New York mayoral election was built about what? What was the main thing? It's about crime and punishment. President Biden. Now I'm going to get tough on guns. Here's the deal about guns, brothers and sisters, that we have to understand. They keep putting out this idea about gun control, restricting guns, but they never talk about the fact that the multitude of people out here have guns. They don't take guns out of the hands of people. This is how do we affect the transaction? Before we put the gun in the hand, that's a transaction. That's a business decision, brothers and sisters. But we're not talking about the millions and millions of people who already have guns, handguns. And the laws in most regards, they can't be grandfathered in to take the guns out of these people's hands. Talking about a crime economy is another way of talking about a fear economy. Because the crime economy, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, is the thing it's going to be the major driver. If you talk about Islamophobia in America, that was a crime economy. It wasn't fear. It was fear of Muslims, but it was the fear that Muslims would commit crimes. Hear me now. They would commit crimes on top of an attack, that it would spur people to commit crimes. Think about this. We talk about Black Wall Street. We talk about Reconstruction, the first and second Reconstruction. What was the second Reconstruction about? It was about taking guns out of the hands of freed Black men. Why? Because if free black men had guns, they now had the protection to what? Protect themselves against crime. We say crime in terms of where, who, what, when, where, how. The white citizenry made sure that they had guns because it's easier, brothers and sisters, to instill fear in people, letting them know that you have absolutely no opportunity to defend yourself. And if you do, brothers and sisters, you are breaking the law. On the other side, people don't even respect you having the law. So this becomes a very, very conscious theme. And it's in politics now. It's in politics now. If you start thinking about what you've seen the last couple months or the last year, crime reform has not necessarily been about the police. It's been about the police at a level. Crime reform has been about protection of agents and the transgender community, the LGBT. That's where crime reforms are happening, brothers and sisters. Now, I'm not saying people don't need to be protected. Of course, they need to be protected. But you have to have an honest conversation. Because when it comes to Latinos and Blacks, the idea of crime is different. The idea of crime is that it's a driver to bring in all these other policies that do not reduce the fear of people who don't come around us anyway. It is meant to suppress the idea that you have rights. And here's the thing that's really, really dangerous. In our own communities, we don't have the opportunity to protect ourselves against people in our own communities. Thus, when you talk about murder rates and crime, we do talk about black on black crime. Why? Because black on black crime is centered. Okay, it's redlined in a way by the violence is going to happen. And so if you ever watch the show Cops, and we're going to start the show, but if you ever watch the show Cops, it is not, brothers and sisters, a coincidence that the police can always go somewhere and find crime. It was always in one block. I used to say it's on the studio lot, but they had demographics, and they knew not just demographics. They had analysis of where crime occurred, what time crime occurred, what kinds of crime. If you go into the Google and Google your town, type in is my town safe? Is where I live safe? And put in is Detroit safe? Is DC safe? Is Los Angeles safe? Is Timbuktu or Wichita, Kansas safe? And they will give you all of the statistics regarding whether it's something is safe. And not only that, they will give you all the crime statistics. And they give you a breakdown for every crime, from homicide to property destruction to sexual assault. They give you every crime, brothers. Just and a lot of guys, they'll even give a breakdown of how many sexual predators are in your area. This, brothers and sisters, this is something that I don't want to overlook. I want people to understand that this has a process. And we're going to talk about that process when we come back. Let's get it started, the Shout Out Show. Welcome back. For anybody coming to the show for the first time, God bless you. We appreciate you coming in, spending your time, indulging us, if you will. We hope we're going to provide a great subject and a platform for you. Simple rules for the Shout Out Show. If you have something you want to say, you want to get something off your chest, express yourself, do it. Jump in the comment section. Let us know who you are, because you're going to find out by the end of the show exactly who we are. Express yourself. I said the only bad opinion is one that you don't share with folks. And make sure that you get your shout out, because it is affectionately called the Shout Out Show. Where are you? You're with an eclectic group of people. I say I'm the host of the show. I am the host of the show. But I'm not the owner of the platform. The people make the platform. Always say that. When you're a comedian, the audience makes your show. And it's no different for the Shout Out Show platform. The audience makes this show. So we're going to start out real quick. We got a birthday. Let's go ahead and put that up. We got Sister Reed celebrating her birthday. Sister Reed says, send her some money for her birthday. Go to Cash App. Can we put that on a banner? We're gonna put that on a banner, Reed, because everybody can't see. Go to Cash App, $ Lornia Rollins, and we're gonna do that. She said, "Happy birthday to me. If you want to be a blessing, bless my Cash App." There you go. All right. Stay away from the casino, not the casino. The casino. Stay away from the casino. Happy birthday, Reed. I guess we'll connect when you have time. Everybody, like I said, returned 21 today, so we're gonna hope that she make 22. Yes, indeedy. All right, Sister Reed, you got some birthday love coming in from the Shout Out family. Again, happy birthday. Next up, Waalaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We got Sister Aiko on the call all the way from Indonesia. Thank you for joining the podcast, and a happy day to you. I know it's early over there, just getting up off the praying mat. God bless you and your family. Hope all is well. Thank you, Sister Aika. Next up, Waalaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Brother Altaf, our Canadian ambassador, brother, our only ambassador, probably the only ambassador to a podcast. Brother, thank you for coming on the show, and I would encourage you to jump in on some of these issues. You just had a situation up in Canada that was something actually that went on down here. You just had I think it was a Canadian policeman had his knee on a young man's neck. I have to check that out, but I remember seeing it, and I wonder how Canada is going to react to that. Next up, we got little brother. Waalaikum assalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. What's going on? Law's God, keep it simple. Good to see you on the show. Make sure you jump on this one, because this is some of our conversations we used to have on the road, talking about race and crime and things like that. Shout out to your family as well, the Thomas family, and your sisters and your aunties and your mom and everybody. A big shout out to you, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Next up. All right, there you go. Happy birthday wish. There you go. From Sister Ika Reed. Happy birthday, Sister Reed. All right, we got to get that. We're going to get your Cash App up there. And we got to, again, shout out to our consultant producer, Satana Whitfield, working the ones and twos of the production space behind, working the keyboards, if you will. We appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much, Sister Satana. And happy birthday again to Sister Reed. All right, there you go. Communication, folks, communication. Now, before I get into what I want to get into, I want to show you what kind of sparked me. I talked to you about actually this podcast called Being Anti-Racist or something like that. I'll find out, inshallah, by tomorrow. I'll try and find the podcast. It just started. It sounds very interesting. There's a book by a woman called The Sum of Us. I gotta get these names together and stop trusting that when I get up here I'm going to remember. But I'm going to start with something that I saw today. This was on CNN. I'm going to encourage everybody to watch the nuance of what you're going to see. This happened in a Walgreens. I believe it was a Walgreens in San Francisco. You're gonna notice something that's very odd about this. You're gonna realize something that's very odd about this, and then I'm gonna come back and hopefully fill in the blanks along with what possibly you saw. So again, this is CNN. I'm gonna bring it up. Everybody, just check it out. Let me know what you think. Before I do, let me make sure our sound is right. Okay, great. Let me know what you think. Check it out.
Shoplifters usually try to conceal their crimes.
Wow.
Not this one at a Walgreens in San Francisco. The thief grabbing items off the shelves and filling up a garbage bag, even as a security guard observes from feet away. Moments later, he bolts away from the store on a lift bike. The guard attempting to grab the bag, but the thief gets away with the large haul.
It's hard for me as a journalist to say, I won't be involved. I can't get involved. I have to be sort of neutral.
The viral video captured by local ABC reporter Leanne Melendez laid bare the lawlessness, further eroding the image of one of America's most beloved cities.
I live in this city and I see this constantly.
Indeed, it has happened so constantly that Walgreens says it has shuttered 17 of its stores in San Francisco over the past 5 years, mainly due to theft.
When you see the amount of theft in San Francisco versus some of our average stores in the company, that multiplier factor is really driven by the organized retail crime.
A Walgreens executive telling elected supervisors last month that theft here is 4 times the national average, driven by organized crime rings. CVS says it's experiencing a similar surge. The city has yet to come up with an effective solution.
This has been out of control, and people are scared to go into these stores, seniors, people with disabilities, children. And it's just happening brazenly.
And with few consequences. According to police data, less than 3% of theft cases this year have netted an arrest, which some believe only invites more criminal behavior.
Ultimately, we do need more police officers, and it's important to make sure that we have the sufficient staff to walk the beats. There's no easy solution to this.
I feel like the theft is outrageous. And it's obvious that people are taking advantage of the fact that there's zero consequences.
For business owners like Adam Mesnick, who has been documenting the city's woes, the chronic theft just adds to the despair being felt on the streets, aggravated even more by the pandemic. Visible homelessness surging as shelters thinned out due to the virus. Open air drug use and dealing common. Last year, overdoses, mainly from fentanyl, resulting in a record 712 deaths, according to city data, more than doubling those who died of COVID.
There's a high amount of crime, safety concerns, and the quality of life has seemed to shrink tremendously.
As for whether that Walgreens shoplifter has been apprehended, the San Francisco Police Department told us it is aware of the incident circulating on social media and that it's being investigated.
Okay. First of all, who allowed somebody to bring a whole bike into Walgreens? Just work with me here. How do you bring a whole bike into Walgreens? I was recently at a gas station. School's out. They still have the sign up that says only 2 to 3 students allowed in the store at one time. And you can't bring any bags in. This is a Walgreens. A person is allowed to bring not only a trash bag, but an entire bike into the store, and a bike he used to commit a crime. He rode off on the bike. He rode off on the bike. The doors open for him and the bike closed. The security guard, brothers and sisters, sat there with a camera. Look at me now. He sat there with a camera and they took pictures. Wait. They took pictures. I know of people who were shot in Walmarts with play guns by security people. Hear me now. I'm not making this up. A black man was killed in a Walmart. Somebody said he had a weapon. Someone said he had a weapon. Nobody did any due diligence. They walked and they shot this man in a Walgreens. 9 times out of 10, the guy got off. The security guard got off. In this, we're watching the commission of a crime, and the security guard is standing there with a camera. You know, standing there with a camera. He watched the man roll past him, and he just grabbed at the bag. He didn't knock the bike over. Listen to me now. He didn't knock the bike over. He didn't grab the bag. He didn't tackle the person. Watching, this guy had no intention of paying anything. And he rolled out. Now, let's talk about crime and race. When in America, someone came up with this horrific narrative of white supremacy, they left non-whites out because they didn't want to have to explain anything having to do with logic. And I was saying earlier today, and they brought it up in this podcast, Be Anti-Racist. The assault on the liberties and sensibilities of non-whites has to do with the fact that white society from the medieval times, the European times, has always been an ideology, a religion of zero sum. Zero sum means at the end it has to balance out. It means that if you have two apples, to have two apples, it means I got to be missing two apples. Not just I don't have apples. I must be missing two apples. If you have two good jobs, then it means somebody over here has to be missing two good jobs. You see what I'm saying? If you have $500, it just can't be, I can't have $200. I must be minus $500. It has to balance out to zero. That, in a nutshell, is white supremacy in a nutshell. When we talk about crime, what you saw, brothers and sisters, was zero sum. This was a zero sum action. The guy putting stuff in the bag, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. The guy putting stuff in the bag was white. He was white. The security guard was white. The other woman was white. All the proponents were white. Because, no black man can just walk into a Walgreens, with a trash bag, let alone bring a whole bike in there. We're going to leave that alone. But when crime happens amongst white people, by white people to white people, it's not seen as zero sum. They don't see themselves that way. They don't compare themselves that way. The elite rich white people compare themselves, but there's not enough of them to compare. They don't worry about all the other white people, okay? They look at each other not in the way they look at black people. You see, when a black person walks in, or if that relationship with a black person, particularly with crime, the crime is always going to be something that frames a loss of something. Loss of trust, loss of faith, loss of security. It frames loss, brothers and sisters. We're always going to be in the negative column. And being in that negative column is something you have to look at. Because the poison of this whole zero-sum mentality is that as black people, we have it too. So if the white man has $500, it means I ain't got $500. Or he's got $1,000, means I'm down $1,000. And the difference is, brothers and sisters, we should not be comparing ourselves to them. And I could be wrong, but I'm going to say it. White people compare themselves to black people to frame how they are living. It's been since the beginning of time. White people wound up over here. Europeans wound up here in the United States. And the story is Australia, when these Europeans came, they weren't the creme de la creme of white society. They were white trash. Sent, brothers and sisters, away. They were sent away by people who saw themselves as better. Now, these weren't black people. These were other white people sent themselves as better. And when they came, the poison, if you will, is now I have a captive audience. I have to make you a slave to indoctrinate you to this way of living, to make you think that you don't have value unless I give you value. And so when you begin to talk about crime, crime is a valuation action. They always use the word what? Loss. Loss. Loss of life, loss of property, loss of security, loss of confidence. It's always loss. And that's that negative that we talk about, the zero sum that somehow it has to balance. We talk about, and this is bad, man, but we talk about this all the time. And our rhetoric begins to reflect the fact that we bought into this. You know, a black person these days has never had the opportunity, or I want to not the opportunity, but the exercise, if you will, the consistency to base how I'm living off another black person, to base my potential off another black person, to share opportunities based on the black people around me. It's always had to be run through, it's always had to be run through a colander, if you will, a white supremacy. And when it goes to that colander, it's not going to have the same value. If it went in and it was worth $10, when it comes out on the end, it's worth $2.50. And under that prism, brothers and sisters, we now have the advent of crime. Crime and race and crime. Crime is the adjudicator, if you will. I can make anything I want illegal if I have the votes. Hear me now. It sounds simple, but I can make anything I want illegal if I have the votes. If I have the confidence of the people, it doesn't even have to be something popular, but if I have the votes, I can get it done. Remember Gil Scott-Heron talking about that mandate? You don't need 100% of the people. You need maybe 25% of the voting electorate. Dangerous thought. But now, brothers and sisters, when you watch that video, think of all the other videos that you've seen. We have some comments, so go ahead and throw them up. Happy birthday. Get some more happy birthday comments, Ree. All right. Many stores do not engage thieves to avoid violence by any party. Okay. Crime and race still be taken into account for. Yeah. But let me push back here. The video you saw was over a minute long. You just saw a clip of it. This is the person who had to come into a store, knowing that there were cameras, knowing that there was a security person. This is a level of comfort. All this surveillance, and still had the audacity to put, brothers and sisters, shoplifting used to be you put it in your jacket. You put it in your jacket when nobody's looking. Small items. This person bought a bag. He was like a criminal Santa Claus, just putting stuff in a bag, haul, if you will. And he planned to leave, and he left. And some of you saying, well, what do you mean, preach? Well, crime is used to suppress, brothers and sisters. Crime laws are used to suppress and oppress. You mean to tell me that this video is not as compelling as a video of George Floyd inside that store? Got to think now. George Floyd in a store, not being irritable, not yelling at people, not screaming. He's not shoplifting. There's still a question about this counterfeit bill, but he's in the store for a transaction. He winds up dead outside. This guy is clearly in the commission of a crime. There's no additional. Nobody grabbed this guy. Nobody said, we got a robbery in progress like you used to hear on the police scanner. Nobody said this. And the person rolled out. And my point is that, let me say it, get it right, preach, that white people don't see themselves committing crimes the way that they see black people committing crimes. They don't have fascinations or fetishes about white people stealing from them or raping them or taking their property. But they do about black people. They do about Latinos. Not so much Asians. But they do have this fetish, brothers and sisters. And why is it important? Because it's permeated into law enforcement. It's permeated into criminal reforms. I predict in the next 2 years, the next slate of crime reform bills, particularly with dealing with this crime increase right now, will probably be some of the most restrictive stuff going all the way back to the Clinton days and the ideology of the super predator. Guarantee. Because this is interesting. I'm not lying. I can't make it up. Think about this. A judge just handed down the first guilty verdict for the insurrectionists. Well, hear me now. They turned down the first, they just handed out the first guilty verdict for insurrectionists. At the same time that the Senate refused to give Capitol Police medals of honor, they denied a commission to actually talk about the insurrection, or a committee. They're literally whitewashing it at the same time that the person. This is what I'm telling you, brothers and sisters. This is the danger, if you will, of what I'm trying to tell you and what I'm seeing. It's because they don't see themselves that way. You know what the insurrection was? This is deep. Those white people that went to the Capitol building and crashed the Capitol, invaded the Capitol, you know what they didn't see themselves as? Criminals. The politicians didn't see them as criminals. In fact, some of the Capitol Police there didn't see them as criminals. Some of the DOJ folks knew that this was a possibility. They didn't see them as criminals. Go back to last summer. The very mention of a Black Lives Matter parade summons damn near all the armature up and down the East Coast. Full riot gear for an announced parade. Do you hear what I'm saying? An announced protest where you gotta get permits and all this type of stuff. It's announced. And they showed up in full force, brothers and sisters. Why do you think? Because that act of, they can say defiance, or that act of protest to them is criminal. We're still waiting for more indictments. There's a woman who was killed during the insurrection. People say that she was a martyr. Some people say she was a terrorist. But just the fact that you're having that conversation between martyr and terrorist, and nobody says criminal, this is what I'm talking about. So to sum up everything, I would encourage, particularly minorities, that we stop comparing ourselves to these people. We don't give them license to fetishize over us somehow, taking away their liberties and their guns and attacking their women and burning down their houses. All the things they've done to us. That we not engage in that. That we do something revolutionary. That we do something organic. And we turn to our own people and say, hey, listen, I see you like I see myself, whatever problems there are, but I see you as valuable. I don't see you as something that causes me fear. I see you as something that causes me inspiration. And in that space, have a conversation, brothers and sisters, that's antithetical to everything that you just saw. You know, you talk about like Black-owned businesses and stuff like that. And I'm going to throw this out, and I'm a you know what Black-owned businesses enjoy? In the community. And this is not to say crime doesn't happen in Black communities. But they enjoy an elevated and a spiritual space in Black community because it's people trying to do business as Black people with Black people. And that valuation is extremely important. We also think about, hey, listen, we got to go out. No. I say change the dynamic, change the paradigm. Disassociate with people who need you to justify their fears, who need you to justify their racism, who need you to say that we need criminal reform on those people. Those are dangerous people. And begin to take the narrative back. You know, my mom says she says it's hard to have an argument with somebody who just walks away. Right? If you see a person arguing by themselves, you're going to have some questions about that person. Just screaming out. The aspect of engagement, and this is really interesting. Satana brought this up. that people can't move out of these cryptic spaces. When we talk about opportunity, there's a quote in the Quran. Basically, God's going, did not create a world wide and expanse for you. It's a somebody go, you didn't give me what I wanted. He said, wait. Did not create a world wide and expanse for you. In a nice way, it seems like God is saying, you got feet, you got automobiles, you got cars, you got internet. You can go out and find opportunities way better than back in the day, but you didn't do it. You didn't do it. Now, in that space, I said, didn't do it. You know what that is? That's accountability. Flip this way, particularly in this incident that you saw at the Walgreens, there's no accountability because accountability involves logic and reason. Remember, I told you, that's white supremacy. It's the absence of all those things. And again, not to drum down on it, but I'm like, yo, I can't look at people who need my engagement to justify their criminal activities, to justify their racist ways, to justify their Islamophobia, to justify the xenophobia. I don't need those people. They need us. The sober-minded people, the hardworking people, the people who get it from the dirt. They need us. So, brothers and sisters, I would suggest that we build stronger coalitions with people who did get it from the dirt, from people who do get it honestly, from people who are sober-minded thinkers and sober-minded people. We value sober language. I would encourage that we do that. All right, let's get to our sponsors. Well, our sponsor, BeFinanciallyIndependent.com. Again, that's BeFinanciallyIndependent.com, run by and founded by the proprietor, Maxine BK Esquire. You can call 1-888-496-6845. Again, that's 1-888-496-6845. Give her a call as well. If you don't want to do that, like I said, you got the number, you got the website, so check it out. We also want to give a shout out, brothers and sisters. We're going to give a shout out, of course, to Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Again, that's Bayan Islamic Graduate School. If you're thinking about a quality master level education, whether it's for divinity, Islamic studies, Islamic leadership, or in my case, Islamic education, give them a shot. And don't be shy about going to their website because they have some amazing speakers, and you can listen to some of the courses that they've taught and some of the lectures that they're given for free. All right, brothers and sisters. So listen, that's my show for today. Again, big shout out to Sister Ree. I think Sister Ree is in Dallas by now. Ree, give me a call. I think Corey Holcomb is in Dallas, so maybe we can hook up something for your birthday. All right, everybody, listen. Have a wonderful day. God bless you. See you on the other side. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Preacher Moss and Shout Out Show. Yo, assalamu alaikum. I'm Preacher Moss, comedian extraordinaire, but I like to add a new title to my name. I'm Professor Preacher Moss. You know why? Because I just graduated. Wait a minute. Let me get this out of here. This is it. Okay. I'm Professor Preacher Moss, and it's come through the courtesy and the blessing of the Muhammad Ali Scholarship, which came through Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Now, listen, I know a lot of you people are thinking, can I do it? Yes, you can do it. This is the part where I know I'm supposed to say it's easy. It's not easy. Listen, it was easy to get this degree. Trump would be a mufti. I digress. Listen, though, for you brothers and sisters that are interested, go to bayanonline.org, and you could be like me. Put yourself in the picture for Islamic education. Wait a minute, there's a picture right there. Sound like them, everybody. Take care. Preach them off.